Hey guys, welcome to Smith's Kitchen. Brian Kitchen, as always. Um, Today's Thursday, and I thought we'd do some baking, like we do every Thursday. Although today I'm going to do something that I've never in my life heard of. It's pie, much like the raisin pie. Was oblivious to this thing until the moment. In this case, I just happened to catch it on the internet and was like, "Wow, that's weird." I was looking at like 10, 12 pies or something like that you must try or have in your repertoire, and came across this one. And I thought, didn't even know this existed. And it's a nutmeg maple syrup pie. Now, in my mind, it sounds wonderful, but at the same time, maple syrup's a very powerful tool, so to speak. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm not gonna say it's a quick pie to make, but it's not a horribly like drag out all day pie. But it only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ingredients if you include the pie crust, which is kind of awesome. You know, it is a custard pie. So we can run with the standard, eggs, heat things up, whisk, they combine the two and pour it into a pie crust and bake it. But it's a little bit of tempering, which is always a good skill to have, especially if you like to make pies, and I like to make pies, cakes, all sorts of things. Adding hot to room temperature without cooking something is really kind of cool. So, that being said, if you're new to my channel, welcome. This is your first video. I hope you get something out of this video and all my other videos. If you're returning, thank you. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Every day, every week, we're growing, and that's awesome. That means we're doing something right. Subscribe button is right below me. It's a rectangle, so subscribe on it. If you'd be so kind, tap that bad boy. Right next to its notification bell. That lets you know when my videos come out. I try to put them out every Wednesday and Thursday. Sometimes I get delayed by a little while. Sometimes, I very rarely do I actually miss a video. But it does happen. We are a family. This is real life. And sometimes we don't get it. Now, that being said, thumbs up, thumbs down, helpful, much like the subscribe button, gets us out in the YouTube's algorithm, helps grow our community. That way we can always be good neighbors. And we can grow good neighbors, and we can do it through food and, being nice and communication. And, it also lets me know, thumbs up, thumbs down, also let me know how I'm doing. Did you like the video? Did you dislike the video? Are you trolling me? Either way, it's okay. It still gets us out in the algorithm. The like button is the like and thumbs up, thumbs down, very important. Comments, always welcome. Be kind. It's okay to disagree. Just think before you type. So, that being said, let's get down to the counter, and we are going to start making a pie. I'll give you all the ingredients and measurements of cups, tablespoons, teaspoons. We'll also do it in milliliters and grams. That way everybody can play along no matter where you are. So hold on for me 1 second. We'll be down at the counter. Okay, so we are here, down at the counter. Well, actually, technically we're at the stovetop. Counter's right beside it, but we don't have room for everything. So, that being said, let's get started. Things you will need for this, as always, a scale. You want to measure everything out, if at all possible. That way, you can use cups and teaspoons, tablespoons. As I start out that way, and then I write the grams down for them. Unless the grams are given in any given recipe, if I'm creating my own, I always do, because what I grew up with was cups, tablespoons, teaspoons. But I always translate it to grams. Grams are so much more efficient. They're a lot more accurate. 300 grams is 300 grams no matter what. Where, in that case, that would be, let's say a cup and a half of sugar. A cup and a half of sugar can vary a little bit, which can change a lot depending on what it can change flavor, sweetness, texture, all depending on what you're making. So anyhow, enough lecture on the scales. The other thing you will need, a bowl. You will need a sauce pot, medium to small sauce pot, something that will hold at least 4 cups. And you'll need a pie crust, whether you make your own or you buy a store-bought one. I do recommend pre-baking it though. I have found, at least with my crust, single layer crust, if I don't pre-bake them first, they have a tendency to get mushy. And with this being a custard, we're going to pour a hot liquid into a dough, and we want a seal on there. It's also got an egg wash on it, very similar to what I did with the cherry ham pies. Yeah, we a little bit of water, some eggs, stirred up on there, and back in the oven. Voila, it's sealed. So, that being said, first thing we're going to need for this is, first of 5 ingredients. I guess it's 6 ingredients total. That's my fault. I'm not using, oh yeah, I am. Never mind. It's 6 ingredients, not 5. I'm just special. The first thing we need to do, take 3/4 of a cup, or 240 milliliters / grams. Milliliters and grams are pretty much the same, dead on, of maple syrup. And we're going to pour this in our saucepan. And what we're going to do with this is we'll go ahead and turn our stovetop on, and we're going to heat this up and reduce it by about 1/4. And then that way it'll be a little thicker, it'll be crazy, it'll be intense. You know, I mean, we're going to tame it down with other ingredients, but there we are. So we got our 240 milliliters / grams, 3/4 cup of maple syrup in here. I'm going to go ahead and start heating this up and get it reduced down, and then we can move on to the next steps. All right, we're down by 1/4. Didn't take long at all. Yeah, we're just getting a little more condensed. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to pull this off the heat real quick, so that way, you know, I can stir and not worry about it bubbling over. But I'm going to add 2.5 cups, or 515 milliliters, grams worth of heavy cream, and I'm going to pour it in here. I'm just going to stir as I go. That way we don't get anything crazy going on, because I don't know exactly what's going to happen with it. There we are. Yeah, because I know, like with milk, and sometimes with heavy cream, it can get a little crazy and boil over. It's just nuts. All right, we're going to put this back on the heat, and we're going to bring it to a simmer. And then once we get to a simmer, we'll take it off the heat and move on to the next step. Okay, so we started simmering, and in case I forgot to mention it, we wanted to start preheating our oven at 300 degrees before we started any of this. That way we could go. It slipped my mind because I already had the oven on from where I part baked the pie crust. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat off now that we're simmering. And I'm going to set this off to the side, so that way it doesn't keep cooking on the burner. And then we just need to get a bowl. I actually brought out a second bowl just so I could show you some things. And here, this will be easier if I bring you down to the actual counter. Oh, give me 1 second here. Get you down here to the counter where we can play together. Take our original bowl. We got 4 large egg yolks and 1 large egg, and we're going to put that in there. There's that. And then we're just going to whisk these up real good, real quick. And you want your eggs at room temperature. You know, anytime you bake, unless the recipe calls for different, which most of the time is just when you're making whipped cream, you want everything, all your dairy and your eggs at room temperature. So we got those whisked up real good. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our cream, and we're just going to slowly pour this in while we whisk continuously and try not to cook our eggs. And this is called tempering. Okay, now that we've got our cream and syrup in there and we've tempered it, this next part isn't necessarily necessary, but I'm going to show you anyhow, just to be safe. Because sometimes if you don't get mixing good enough and you have to stop for a second or whatever, or let's say your eggs do start to scramble a little, right? What you'll end up with is like little flakes of scrambled eggs in your batter. So if you take a fine mesh strainer, or a sieve as they call it, and another bowl, and we just take our cream and our custard filling and pour it in there. I mean, there's a good possibility. Yeah, I mean, I got some egg in there. You know, a little bit of the egg cooked. And that's okay. I mean, you don't have to do that step, and if you're good, you don't have to, but You see in there how we got a little bit of egg white in there? That's just cooked egg. You know, I didn't stir quite quick enough. Got a little egg in there. I mean, it won't hurt anything, and 9 times out of 10, most people won't see it. So the next thing we're going to do, and in case I forgot to mention, I have the recipe written down here. I write down all my recipes. We try almost everything on this channel for the first time on our own, just to see if we can do it. So now that we got that done, we are going to add our salt, nutmeg, and vanilla to this. So we're going to add 1 teaspoon or 1 gram of salt. Right there. We're going to add 1 teaspoon at half a gram of nutmeg. Nutmeg is one of those things. Now this is fresh nutmeg. I ground it myself. And it's so hard to find around here for whatever reason. So if you don't have it, you can use just regular old ground nutmeg. Just make sure it's fairly fresh so you get that full flavor. And then I'm going to add 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla extract, and that is a pure vanilla extract. Yeah, and it's a baker's extract. There is a bit of a difference. It's designed to be baked. A lot of times with just like standard vanillas, you lose the flavor of the vanilla during the baking process, and it goes away. I like vanilla. I want to keep that flavor in there, and it's almost in every recipe I make. And you want to go with a pure vanilla versus a fake vanilla extract because it gives you the most flavor. Now, it's expensive, so if you can't afford it, the imitation vanilla is fine too. So we've got that mixed up. Now we're down to one more step before we put it in the oven. We just got to grab our pie crust, and we're going to pour this into our pie crust. Just like such. Like I said, it's literally only 6 ingredients. It's not much. But we are pouring a hot liquid into a pie crust, so you surely want to pre-bake your, or par-bake your pie crust. So we got that in there. Now all we got left to do is stick it in the oven, and we'll talk about for how long. Give me 1 second. Okay, we got her in the oven going strong. So, how long? What are we looking for, right? According to the recipe, we are going to bake this for about an hour. There is no precise time on it, around an hour. So I'm going to say 55 to 60 minutes, maybe even 65 minutes, depending on your oven. What we're going to look for after we've baked it, at least for me, I'm going to set the timer for 55 minutes. And I'll check it a little bit before that, a little bit after. We'll play with it until I know with my oven what is good. Things I am looking for. Kind of like a cake, you should be able to touch it and it not be liquidy. Now, I can't recommend you touch it because it's going to be blazing hot and I don't want you to burn yourself. So, much like a cheesecake, that might be a little overdone, you should be able to grab it and wiggle it a little bit. Just grab your rack, move it a little bit, and it should jiggle a little, but be, firm enough that there's no liquid slopping around. It should about be set, if not set, like a custard pie should be. That way we know it's done. So, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let this bake, keep checking on it, and when we get to the point where I'm ready to pull it out we'll come back, we'll take a look at it so I can show you what I'm talking about, and we'll talk about what to do next. Alright, be back in 1 second. Okay, so our timer is going off. Let's go ahead and end that timer. Maybe. There we are. So now we're going to just pull this out, and we're at 55 minutes. And, yeah, you can't really see it. Hold on a second. Let me get you over here where you can see. There we are. All right. So all I'm going to do is wiggle it. But see how it's still a little jiggly, indented in the center? So I know it's not quite done yet. So we're going to give it about 4 or 5 more minutes. Like I said, I only went 55 minutes. And then we'll start over, or we'll check it again. So give me a couple more seconds and we'll check it again. Okay, so we'll try this again. Now let's see where we're at. Let me get you back down here again. And we'll pull her out. Oh yeah, we're looking much better now. Not nearly as jiggly. Starting to come up in the middle. Sorry. We're starting to come up in the middle. Not nearly as jiggly. Yeah, I mean, we want a little jiggly, but not a whole lot jiggly. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to let that bake for another 2 minutes, and then we're just going to pull it and call it a day. And then we'll talk about what we got to do next. So give me just 2 seconds, and we will get her done. All right, we are good to go. We're bubbling. We got a nice skin on top, which means if I touch it, it'll be okay, but I'm not touching it. But that's something we can look for because it said it should be firm on the top. See how it's firm on the top? We don't have a whole lot of jiggle to it, but we got jiggle. That's all we needed. So now, what do we do next? So next, I'm going to cook some supper. But while I'm cooking supper, we're going to let that cool. And we're going to let it cool all the way down to room temperature. And then after it's at room temperature, which should be about the time dinner's over, we can cut into it and try a piece. So when I come back, we will take a look at it and try a piece. All right, I'll be back in just a second. All right, so we let this pie cool. And now this will be the first custard pie that I've done that I didn't stick in the fridge for a little while. So this will be kind of neat to see. Most custard pies, you can tell I'm getting tired. I just stick in the fridge to let them finish setting, but as you can see, there's no jiggle to it at all. It's an absolutely gorgeous looking pie. That color is amazing. And it seems pretty firm, so we're going to give it a shot, right? Because that, my friends, is a beautiful pie. And I could actually take that out. Look at that. It's not even attached to the pie pan. I could take that out and set it out to display on a pretty plate. All right. Oh, it's got a nice cut to it. Seems good. And according to the recipe, you just let it cool to room temperature and then serve. So we shall see. All the same, I don't think I cut that into the center far enough. There we go. If there's one thing, I am not really good at getting to the center of the crust, so to speak. So we'll have the center of the pie. Although I think I'm the best one at it in my house. Get that pulled out. Oh yeah, look at that. That is firm as all get out for being just sitting there. That looks just like the pictures. Now, you would traditionally serve this with whipped topping, and I am currently, the only whipped topping I have is store-bought, and it's in the freezer because I forgot to get it out. But there is our shot of the pie cut. Yeah, not that you really care. You're just thinking to yourself, come on, bro, get to the end of the video. Although this has been one of my quicker videos. That crust is gorgeous. I do love a good crust. And I don't mean to brag, but I make a pretty fine crust. Alright, well, nutmeg maple syrup pie. Never heard of it before the other day. Never had one in my life. It looks good. It smelled great. So let's give it a taste and see how she turned out. That's really interesting. It's very much custard pie. It does not have a heavy maple syrup flavor to it. That's very interesting. I thought for sure it'd be like dousing your pancakes with maple syrup, you know, and then scooping it out of a side order of maple syrup with a little bit of nutmeg. I would add more nutmeg to this. You can taste it, but barely. And like I said, the maple syrup is not very heavy at all. It's got a good custard taste to it. I would recommend putting this in the fridge, though, and letting it sit in the fridge before serving. I think this would be better cold, although it's quite tasty at room temperature. Nothing like I expected it to be. It's really good. I'm trying to think of a holiday that would almost go good at Thanksgiving. You know, or if you're having anything that involved a ham dish, like if you were doing ham for dinner, a type of ham dish for dinner, this would be a good pie to have for dessert. That's really, it's unique. It's not anything I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but it's way better than I was expecting. So, give this a try. It is really quite impressive. Hands down. It just tastes like fall, you know, like wintertime. This would be a good January pie. And, you know, or like I said, any dish with a ham. I can see this going with a ham or a roasted chicken dinner as a dessert. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, try this. Let me know if you do. Because I know you won't be disappointed. If you like maple syrup with pancakes, this is pretty much it. If you like custard pie, definitely a way to go. My only recommendation would be refrigerate it. Get it chilled before you serve it. It's good at room temperature, but I think it would be even better chilled. So, if you do try this, let me know. Let me know what you think. Did you like it? Did you not like it? You're like, Brian, this is a great pie. You found a pie that was really good. That was a great choice. Or you can say, Brian, it was a horrible pie. I can't even believe you introduced this into my life. Either way, I'd like to know because I think that's a pretty all right pie. I'm definitely going to put that keep that in the book and use that in the repertoire, so to speak. So, next week, I have no idea what we're going to cook or bake. It is going to be a busy couple of weeks for me. I have gotten a lot of pie orders in for the holidays. So I am going to do my best to get us, get us a video out so we can cook something together and do a dessert. But that being said, if I don't, I apologize now. I may just bring you along for the ride. We may just have conversations while I make pies. I don't know, but either way, I'll have something out either way it goes. But it may be another crock pot meal and just a simple, basic dessert. I have got a whole slew. Chris sent me a Facebook thing, thing from TikTok maybe, or maybe we saw it on Facebook. But anyhow, she tagged me in it. That was like 20 different cakes you could make using box cakes and different canned fruits. It was like a dump. They were all dump cakes that you don't mix, that you don't stir, that you don't do nothing with. You just put it all in a dish, throw it in the oven, and it's done. We may do one of those just because it'd be something fun and simple, and at the same time very unhealthy. But we'll see. Anyhow, we're going to do something next week. I just don't know what yet. It'll all be dictated by what I have to, how much time I have. Work's been busy. I've been working double shifts on your guys' weekends. My weekends are Wednesdays and Thursdays. And so my time has been limited, but we'll get her done all the same. So until next week when we do what I have no idea what, I love you. I love you very much. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them and you love them very much. It's going to make their day a whole lot better. Make one of these pies and take it to them. It's going to be a great conversation starter. I guarantee it. They're going to look at you like nutmeg, maple syrup. Then they're going to try it and go, oh my God, where has this been all my life? So, next week, I'll talk to you then. I love you. Talk to you later. Bye.